Let's jump into reactions here, gentlemen. Same format as last week. Just, give us a game and give us your take from it, and we'll go around the horn and have a little rebuttal off of each of these and carry it on. So, Sai, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the annoying one, but I'll be quick about it as I promised Evan. The dynasty is back, baby. Especially after – I love Zach because he's like a stimulus package for the Chiefs most years. Outside of the Super Bowl, I'll give him the nod, and obviously they lost the games to the Eagles earlier. But especially when it comes to the AFC, Zach is the stimulus package. He's a stimulus. He's a stimulus in that he always will say something about how this is the year the AFC is going to blow him out. He's a stimulus in that he always picks the Ravens, and so far he's made a couple of Ravens bets that I haven't agreed with, and they have not paid off. And this is a perfect example of that. But long story short, I'm not going to use this as a situation to pick on Zach. I just like giving him crap. The reality is, and this isn't even on him, I don't know what happened to this Ravens defense. I understand they had people hurt during the game, but I'm tired of people making the excuse that the Ravens defense, it's because of injuries. Because the reality is they started the year with all of their guys and let up over 40 to the Bills. The only game where they didn't get destroyed was the game against the Browns, and that's because offensively they also played super well in that game. But then they also went ahead and lost to the Lions in a decisive fashion with letting up points to defense. And now the Chiefs, who everyone acted like can't play offense anymore, get Xavier Worthy back and now look like this whole new team. And there's probably a debate between how much of that is the Chiefs, looking a lot better with Worthy opening up the offense, which, to be fair to him, he had some very big plays this game. But how much of it is also the Ravens just not being competent on defense right now? No pass rush, no ability to stop the run. The secondary was literally put together to stop the passing game in the AFC, and it didn't look good. This is why last week when Zach made the take that Ravens fans and fans in the league and fans of other teams need to chill, I actually disagreed with it because I think their defense is a real problem. And now we've heard that Matabuke is out all year, and they're out Roquan, and they're out, who is it, Marlon Humphrey? Into next week. I don't know for how long they're out. I haven't seen the full injury report for all of them. That weeks. Is a massive – what'd you say?
A few weeks each.
And now the Steelers, who I don't think are the real deal by any means, are 3-1, and the Ravens are 1-3. So there's not even a guarantee they win the division, even though I'll probably still pick the Ravens. But this was just a bad look, and a really bad look for Lamar, who I love. But, I mean, he got owned out there. And I just don't want this game to be people looking back saying, it was the injuries is the reason the Chiefs won. The Chiefs were up 3 scores going into the third quarter before all of that happened. And the Ravens never looked like they had a shot in that game. So long story short, the Chiefs are back. They're good. I'm not worried about them. And they still haven't even gotten Rashee Rice back, which will make them significantly better. Shout out to Spags, who owns the Ravens every single time he plays them, even though I like them. So that's my take.
Zach, you got a rebuttal for your boys?
No, it was great. I mean, honestly, I watched it. We were talking about a little bit about B-Wings. Sai literally cut me off at B-Wings. He's like, no, we're going to talk about this on the pod. I respected that. It was like a relieving win. It was a relieving win. I can't believe I say that because my projections were wrong. The Chiefs are so much fun when they're good. They scored 37 points. It's the most since 2023. Why have they been running this conservative offense for years and years? And to Sai's point, they don't even have Rashee Rice back yet. So it was really, really relieving to see them operate that seamlessly on offense. And Xavier Worthy has made a complete difference. Just the threat of Worthy on the field opens up the running game, and Patrick Mahomes no longer has to be their leading rusher anymore. It's really, really interesting seeing what I've seen. Things are going to get really hot in the AFC West. Ev?
Yeah, I touched on it, but for me, the Pittsburgh Steelers just became the favorites in the AFC North unequivocally, not just because of the records, But Baltimore's out Lamar Jackson for a few weeks, guys, and they're 1-3. Like, they're in huge trouble, not to mention those 3 defensive losses. And I actually think the Pittsburgh Steelers might be a little bit legit. Aaron Rodgers is actually playing way better than he was with the Jets 2 years removed from that major Achilles injury. He's moving way better in the pocket for me, and he's able to get the ball out quickly. DK Metcalf made huge plays in Dublin. Jalen Warren and even Kenneth Gainwell are running the ball well. And the defense has bent quite a bit this year, but they've been opportunistic and created some turnovers like they did with the Vikings. That was a huge win. I think it's more because of Joe Burrow being out and now Lamar being out and the Ravens being 1-3 and having no defense. But I think the Steelers are a decent team, and they might end up being a worthy AFC North winner, which it seems like where this is trending. I don't know how this turns around with all the injuries in Baltimore unless they can steal some wins while Lamar is out. So
I think the key is smelling salts, right? Aaron Rodgers, being filmed ripping the smelling salts and then throwing an 80-yard just like absolute steamroll fastball into the right into the hands of DK Metcalf for that 80-yard touchdown. I mean, you never know. Aaron Rodgers, he's getting a little bit older. He plays around a lot of different things. The smelling salts is a new one. Just rips it, throws an 80-yard touchdown pass, and then points to Mike Tomlin on the sideline like, "You're my boy." And I actually really do like that relationship that Mike Tomlin has with his veteran quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, because they've been foes for so long, right? Like, they even competed against each other in the Super Bowl. It's cool to see it, 10, 12 years later.
Yep. Zach, you got to take for us from another game?
Yeah, I think that the Commanders are in big trouble, actually. And I think that the Commanders, as fresh off their loss to the Falcons, the Commanders have been dealing with a variety of injuries. And, obviously that's very understandable. But I think every Commanders fan goes to sleep without telling the right, true story here, which is maybe it's not just injuries to Jaden Daniels and some of the defensive guys and whatnot. Maybe it's the fact that we've given up 32 big plays through 4 weeks in football, which is tied for 5th amongst NFL teams. So they're giving up 32 explosive plays. And, their defense is letting up a ton of yardage, and they're not making the stops when they need to. So I'm not even talking about this last game where the fresher legs kind of won out. Like, the Falcons, you knew were going to come out a lot stronger after that stomping in Carolina. So, I'm not going to fault the Commanders there because I knew the Falcons were going to have a good bounce back game. But the Commanders seem to just say, hey, once we get Jaden Daniels back, everything's going to be humming super seamlessly. And I'm just saying, you're giving up 32 explosive plays. You can't get off on the field on 3rd down. These are bigger issues that are not Jaden Daniels. Like, he's not going to be able to fix all of those things. So I don't know. Commanders, they're sitting there 2-2. Division's getting better. Jackson Dart's starting to play pretty well. I think the Commanders have a lot more issues than just Jaden Daniels is going to come out and fix all of our problems again.
Was that a Giants take secretly?
Yeah, a little bit.
Hey, man, we got a clip when Zach jumped off the Giants bandwagon a week ago, and then now the Giants are good again. I'm telling you, this man is a stimulus package. He just provides teams motivation, man. He's got this.
Well, not just the Giants. Let's not pick on the Giants. The Cowboys. Cowboys look pretty good, too. They're by no means not out of this race either. The Eagles are 4-0, ranked the number 1 team in the power rankings. I'm just saying, the Commanders seem to be placating a lot of the problems they're seeing on the field with all of the big plays they're giving up defensively and with all the injuries that they're dealing with. And they're just saying, hey, once Jaden Daniels comes back and our $30 million wide receiver comes back, who's 31 years old, by the way, Terry McLaurin, everything's going to be rainbows and sunshines. And I think they have some infrastructure problems, not just skill position problems.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, but this was the case last year, and they made it to the NFC Championship game just on Jaden Daniels' back. So I think that's why people are saying that it's like worst case scenario. We're in a situation we did last year where we can just ride our offense, which, to your point, with the strength of the NFC and starting off 2-2 might be tough. But the defense is a mess. That was a horrible performance, like it was in Green Bay 2 weeks ago. And then the problem is, it's the same way we started last year, where our defensive coordinator wants the scheme to be so complicated, and then we get just absolutely cut through for 4 games, and then he comes out in his presser and is like, we just have miscommunications all over the field, and you can see it. I don't know if I sent you guys the one screenshot where it's like we had 3 guys on a 3rd and 2, like wide open. It's just poor communication. So hopefully, and he said, I guess I'm going to have to dumb down the play calling. And once he did this last year, things got a little bit better. Not all that much better because we couldn't stop the run, which they've gotten a little bit better at this year. So, but I think worst case scenario, they will be able to outscore most teams. But the question is, will the strength of the NFC that wasn't there last year be too much to overcome for a wild card? So I don't overly disagree, but I think, the offense is still great. So I'm not that worried about it. So you got another take?
No, y'all touched on everything you wanted. Did you make a take, Evan, or do you want me to jump in with everyone?
I had the Steelers one, but I could go for another one. I got plenty to roll.
Okay, I mean, I can jump in. Well, I didn't think of the Steelers as your take.
Yeah.
I know you, but I was nice. You rolled into it.
I snuck it in.
I will give you a couple of takes for the same game. Puka Nacua is the best receiver in football right now. I'm not saying I would draft him over, Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, but in terms of his production right now, it needs to be acknowledged because even when we're talking about the top five, we're talking about him as fringe top five. I'm going to say he's the best receiver in football right now because what this guy does week over week, and obviously I watched him do it to my Colts, but I've seen him do it to the Eagles. I've seen him do it to who else did they play this week? Not the Lions, but pretty much every team he's played this year, he's unguardable. It doesn't matter who you put on him. It doesn't matter what you run. You put him on the outside, put him on the inside, put him wherever you want. The guy's going for over 150 yards every week, and he's Matt Stafford's, guy. And the other thing is with Devontae there, who is still incredible at his age, it's just unfair watching those two work across from each other with Stafford throwing the ball. My other two takes for that game is this is going to be a wild one, but I think A.D. Mitchell will, at some point, we will be talking about him as a top 10 receiver in football. And the reason I'm making this take is because he's getting absolutely grilled this week, and he deserves it. I'm not saying he doesn't. But the part that is frustrating about it is the talent is so clearly evident when he plays football. The amount that he gets open, the amount that he can make these kinds of spectacular highlight reel catches, the way he can, the yards after the catch for him is insane. Even last year I saw it when we didn't have good quarterback play. But obviously he's fourth on our depth chart because Alec Pierce, as Zach alluded to, generally when he plays, was very good. We saw him come out there, make one of the most, probably one of, maybe the best play receivers made all year, up until he was 1 yard away from the end zone and decided to switch hands. And then he also had a really bad block at the end of the game where he had a holding where I don't think he needed to do it. And Jonathan Taylor probably scored the game-winning touchdown on that play. So that was extremely frustrating. But the media all week is going to rip him, and I get it. And the media is going to talk smack, and I get it. He deserves it. But at the same time, I'm telling you, whether it's with the Colts or not, this guy is a superb talent. I'll let Zach comment that on the minute. And the last thing I'll say is the score reflects us losing. We went into LA and we lost. The Colts are the real deal, and our defense is the real deal. And, of course, Danny Dimes didn't have the best game. I get that. But the fact that we stayed in that game with the number of mistakes that we made and still had a chance to win the game at the end, our defense held that Rams offense in check for a full quarter and a half, which is almost an impossible task this year outside of maybe the Eagles. So I just want to give a shout out to the other side of the football because obviously Jonathan Taylor, the passing game and everyone's great, but our defense is the real deal. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I completely agree with Cy and the fact that the Colts defense is the real deal, and it goes to show you the good decisions that Chris Ballard's making, especially rebuilding that defense, getting some of those studs like Bynum and then obviously was it Tre'Davious Ward, right? Yeah, that's huge. Okay, so my question is on the offensive side because you said this at B-Wings too. Why do you think that A.D. Mitchell deserves? Why do you think he's getting ridiculed by the media right now?
Well, because he obviously deserves it for having done something that was dumb. It was his chance to score his first touchdown in his NFL career. He gets a chance to start because Alec Pierce gets hurt. And for him to, in a moment of celebration, transfer hands, which just did not need to happen, it was absurd. But that's my point, right? It was such a situation where he transferred hands for no reason. But the reality is, if you watch that play, the sad part is everyone's going to remember that part, which admittedly that's what you should remember. But the catch that he made man-to-man in a game on the road against the Rams, that's the kind of plays you need to win the game, and he made it. So it's just really sad to see that it was a mental mistake rather than him not being capable of being good. That's
100. Okay, and I completely agree with you because you did say he switched hands, and that was the problem. He was showboating, and that is why he deserves all the media ridicule. I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page there. You weren't looking the other direction based on what he was doing. He was showboating. That was the reason he switched hands. That's why it happened. But I think this is a huge net positive for Indianapolis because of what Cy just said. that play, who can make that play in the NFL? Who has the breakaway speed, the finesse, and enough strength to be able to shimmy off a defender? A.D. Mitchell's going to be a stud. I love the top 10 take wide receiver side, but I just wanted to make sure that you were able to admit, like, hey, yeah, my wide receiver was showboating, and that's why we're in this situation.
He clearly was on
okay. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, that's all fine and good. He's not going to be a top 10 receiver in the NFL. I don't care how talented he is. Let's be very clear about that. There's 10 pretty.
I'm not saying this year. I want to make this.
I get what you're saying. It's not going to happen. But Zach at Zach Klein will appreciate your Puka Nacua bit. I will give you that and agree with you there. But he was very upset with us that we had a top 5 receivers in the league discussion, I think, last week, and did not mention Puka Nacua, and he was right for that.
So. To be clear, but I didn't definitively say it was. I said Amon Ra's in there for sure. But yeah, I did put Malik over Puka, which right now isn't great.
Yeah, he was upset with us. But I'll jump to another take. I love to cancel competitive windows, so I'm going to do another one. The San Francisco 49ers competitive window has slammed shut, gentlemen. This team getting absolutely dominated by the Jaguars at home. The injuries are never going to stop just because they have injury-prone guys. And Brock Purdy is not a guy, and eventually that contract is going to get way too expensive for their team to be able to handle. For the next 2 years, it's reasonable, and they should be able to build a good enough roster around him. But I just do not see it on the field right now. And I think the division with the Rams being young and looking great, Seattle on the come up, I just do not see how this San Francisco 49ers team gets back to certainly a Super Bowl. And I think they're going to be stretched to even make the playoffs, win a playoff game for the next handful of years, especially once that Purdy contract gets expensive. That was an incredibly disappointing performance, I thought, for them against the Jaguars. And I'm done with the 49ers in their competitive window here.
Wow, even though they're 3-1, I mean, they're right in contention when you look at Seattle and some of the other guys like Los Angeles. Yeah,
we knew it was fake with who they played, though.
Well, no, I agree with you, not necessarily because of who they played being fake, because I don't think their team was ever fully healthy. But to be fair to you, you are right. They tend to be hurt a lot. It's because without Nick Bosa, their defense is done. And I think we're, as much as I love Fred Warner and some of the other guys they have in the secondary, they already lost a bunch of guys in the offseason. For example, Tre'Davious Ward, people like that who went to other teams. You can't afford the Nick Bosa injury now, especially when you're paying Brock what you're paying him. We're seeing right now how much a lack of elite pass rushers does to a team. Like the Cowboys is your perfect example. Like if you lose your elite guy, that guy can cover up a lot of the issues because he's consistently putting pressure. The Steelers didn't have TJ Watt. I promise you they would not look the same. But that's the situation they're in, and their offense can't make up for that. Even if they get Ayuk back, who doesn't look like he's on schedule. C-Mac is playing well, but he doesn't look as good as he did a year or two ago. It was more that he's just getting a ton of opportunities and doing the best he can with them. Who knows if Kittle will be fully healthy? I just have a lot of question marks for that team. So I do agree with Evan. That's not a team that I picked the Rams to win the division, and I'm very happy with that take right now because Stafford looks great. So, yeah. You got another take, Z-Bro?
Yeah, I got to take. Evan's not going to like this one. Jameson Williams needs Amon St. Brown. Amon St. Brown doesn't need Jameson Williams. So what I mean by that is Amon St. Brown, he lines up, preferably he's the slot receiver. He occasionally lines up twin. He's dicing defenses up right now, and he has absolutely solidified himself as a staple, the 4th best wide receiver in football. Now, let's flash forward to Jameson Williams. What has he really done this season? Jared Goff, just in this last game, targeted him 8 times, only completed 2 of those 8. And I know that he's a down the field target, and those are more high risk throws. They're not as high probability of them actually happening. But if you're going 2 for 8 when you're targeting, either he's not open very much, or he hasn't been able to run his route as efficiently because Jared Goff can't get the ball out in time, or he's under duress or whatever it might be, or the fact that just people are covering him so much better and he doesn't have the ability to do what they signed him up to do and what all this promise and hype around Jameson Williams was, which was get open and make sure you get a deep throw, convert a couple of touchdowns a year, and you got to become an 1,000-yard receiver at a certain point. Right now, through 4 weeks in the season, doesn't look like he's going to be any of that. And the Detroit Lions are 3-1, so they're winning without him. They're running the ball great. Jared Goff still playing really good football, but Amon St. Brown is the sole driver for that. Either Jameson Williams needs to get it together, or he's been a farce this entire time. Evan, what are your thoughts?
I agree that Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't need Jameson Williams. The counter I'll make is that one of the reasons their offense works so well is that a lot of times when you watch his routes, they're not even designed to be in the read. He's just running straight down the field as one of the fastest guys in the NFL. And the safety in the corner that's chasing him are just flying all the way down the field. And that opens up that entire intermediary for Laporta or Amon-Ra St. Brown. So just because he's not getting the ball doesn't mean he's not impacting the play. But I don't overall disagree with your take. Obviously, I think he benefits more from St. Brown. St. Brown benefits from him, but I do want to make that mention. Now, for that, did they pay too much money? I know he got a reasonable contract, given he doesn't have a ton of production yet, but did they pay too much just for a guy that's going to stretch the field? I think they need to give him the ball more. I know last week he had some drops that wasn't great, but just because he doesn't get the ball or get targeted doesn't mean he's not impacting the play in their offenses, though.
We're saying that this week, but then they're going to have a big playoff week where he's going to catch an 80-yard touchdown, and that's going to be or 90-yard touchdown. It's going to be the reason, or a 100-yard touchdown, and it'll be the reason they win the game. So that's why he gets paid. The issue is more that there's so much talent on that team and so many other places to go with the ball. You can't turn, if you turn Jameson Williams into a shorter route runner, then it takes away from Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, who are commanding those regions. They always get a third receiver who manages to play well too. You need him to run deep balls. So I get what Evan's saying about it's a bit of a bummer that he doesn't get more opportunities, but this last week was more of a fluke. Do you know how many games he's been 3 for 3 for 100 yards and a touchdown? It's insane how much he can do with a low target volume. So.
And he was close to, if not at 1,000 last year.
Okay, so
they're completely different.
Sign Turpin from the Cowboys and have him run as the wide receiver and just have him run a fly, and people are going to run after him.
Jameson's built different, bro. He is the way he can cook people one-on-one is not, and it's that's not comparable. He's the only reason you don't see Jameson being more elite is the situation he's in. When he came out of Alabama, there's a reason that he won as a first-round pick with a torn ACL or whatever it was. The guy is a dog. He just doesn't get as many opportunities as you'd like to see it. It's unfortunate because I do think that in a different offense, we'd be having a different conversation. That's my opinion, though.
Xavier Worthy is one of the fastest players in the league. The reason why Xavier Worthy is a much better receiver than Jameson Williams is he doesn't just run flies. He's very multifaceted. He can be a possession receiver when he wants to be, and he can be a speedster when he wants to be. Well, Jameson Williams is just a one-trick pony.
He doesn't just run flies.
Yeah, I think you're taking away from the fact that Xavier Worthy's in an offense where he doesn't have his mental elite talent around him anymore, so therefore they use him a lot more. Jameson Williams is in a situation where it's not like they can't use him that way. The reason that they don't is because, again, it takes away from the other guys' space on the field. If Amon-Ra is covering your short yardage and Laporte is covering your middle of the field or tight end, and you got another slot receiver type, then you need Jameson to take the top off. That's the sad part. It's almost like they're too loaded to the point where you can't be as creative with them because there's all these other guys you got to be creative with. That's the thing.
And that's why exactly when you watch him, you see mostly flies, but that's exactly my point. That's why. And most of his big plays aren't on flies. They're on slants and they're on posts. And then he just outruns the crap out of the defense for an 80-yard touchdown. Those are most of his explosive touchdowns. And occasionally he just gets the straight fly down the field. Most of the times he's just running straight. He's not even in the read. So I do want to, but that leads me into kind of one of my other takes is that the Detroit Lions are the best team in football that we aren't talking about. When did we stop talking about Detroit as an elite team in this league in the national media? When you see these lists, I don't even see Detroit listed, and it's because the Packers threw him a haymaker and knocked him out week one. Week one is notorious for the most random things happening where teams aren't really ready to play and just kind of fluky games happen. The Detroit Lions are still the staple and class of that division, as we saw with the Packers having 2 bad games in a row. Their run game is unbelievable. Like you guys mentioned, they have all these weapons on offense, and Aiden Hutchinson is back on the defense. They're still the best team in that division. They're still one of the top contenders to the Eagles, and I think we need to talk about them as such, which I don't know if it's fatigue or what, but I just do not see a lot of national media talking about them as being one of the top teams in this conference, and I do not see how that's possible with the way they're playing since that week 1 loss at Green Bay.